welcome to my channel. My name is JazzyRN. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. The goal of my channel is to help nurses pivot from the bedside to remote work, and today's video is a little bit different. I'm going to show you my workstation, what I use to work remotely from home, as well as answer a couple of questions that I get sometimes on LinkedIn. So first I want to start with my keyboard and mouse rest. So this is the one for my keyboard. It's pretty well worn, and this is the one for my mouse, worn as well, and it comes with a matching coaster. And also, instead of having a laptop stand swivel, I have this little drawer where I can put my ink pens, sticky notes, etc. So my desk chair, now I've had this for maybe 5 years or so. Now, as you can see here, it's pretty worn, and it's made of cloth. It's not made of any kind of synthetic leather-like fabric. I did have one that was made of a leather-like fabric, but it started to peel after the first year, so I got rid of it. And also, the very first chair that I did have, it was the most cheapest chair you can buy, and it had no armrest, just a seat and a back. And probably about a year or so later, the whole chair just kind of came apart. I also want to add that make sure that you have either a carpet or floor mat to protect your floor or carpeting from your desk chair. And also, this desk I've had for over, I want to say 5 or 6 years now. Now, I do recommend that your desk should have some sort of metal framing. So this desk, it's metal frame here, and as well as over here and over here, down here. But this part right here, the white part, this is pressed wood. And the reason being is you should try to get something that's metal frames, because the very first 2 desks I had, those desks came apart during moving. So if you're planning on, let's say, moving your desk from downstairs to upstairs or vice versa, or moving to a different apartment or a different home, those pressed wood desks don't last the test of time. So I do suggest. One more item I suggest you buy is an uninterruptible power source. It is UPS for short, and I have 2 of them. The first one is under my desk. Now, one part of this power surge protector is just power surge protector, and then the other side is battery supported and surge protected outlets. So let's say if you have any kind of power outage, you have a small window of time to back up your information on your computer, to log out, email or instant message your boss to let her know that, hey, your power went out and you have to go somewhere else. It's very helpful just in case any type of emergency happens. And I happen to have 2 of these. I have one under my desk, and the second one is hooked up to my router. In regards to evacuating or traveling while working remotely, I suggest you get, of course, the memory foam seat cushion. That way it works with any chair you're working on. And if your company does not provide you with a laptop bag to get your own, just make sure your laptop bag is big enough to put your work laptop and your personal laptop, as well as if you want to bring your keyboard, you can. I don't bring my keyboard with me whenever I'm evacuating or traveling. That's an option. Also, you want to be able to put your mouse pad and your mouse in there as well, and any notebooks you bring with you, let's say work-related notebooks. I also suggest, it is kind of a pricey item to have, but I have travel monitors. Now, I bought these monitors over 7 years ago, and I have used them several times whenever I had to travel or evacuate. I'm going to show you how it all works. So I already had the monitors open here, and I'm going to hook it up to my personal Chromebook. Now I have 3 screens on the go. A cheaper alternative to buying a travel monitor would be to get the USB-C to HDMI cable. This is what it looks like. So one end is HDMI, and if you have a Fire Stick, this will go to your TV, and the other end is a USB-C. and this part will go into your computer. Just make sure that the cable you buy will turn the device you're using into a computer monitor. So this part goes into the TV and this goes into the computer. I'm using my personal computer for this. Now once you see both screens on both the laptop and the TV, you want to go to the settings on your laptop and extend the screen. So you go to this, you'll click on right click and then display settings, and you want to extend the screen. That way you can use your TV as a secondary monitor. The hardest part about utilization review is auditing. Your authorizations are audited every month, and you may have 3 or 4 authorizations audited by the auditors every month. And the auditors are basically the judge, jury, and executioner of your audit score. So they look at the criteria you're using in InterQual or MCG, whichever one you're using. If you're using the right level of care, acute, intermediate, or critical level of care, look at the information you're entering into the system. So let's say the white blood cells must be over 12 and you enter, let's say, 11.9. That's going to be a point off on your audit score. That's the hardest part about utilization review. And every insurance company or every company is different regarding the audits. One thing you should never do at work is use your work computer to look at non-work related websites. Don't be doing your taxes. Don't look for hotels. Don't be looking for airline tickets. Your work computer shouldn't be used for anything besides work. Even if you want to listen to YouTube music or watch YouTube videos while you're working, have your cell phone next to you, a tablet, or your own computer, your own laptop, and watch YouTube that way, listen to music that way, but do not use your work computer for anything outside of work. The remote culture working remotely is based on Microsoft Teams. And depending on the team you work on, it can be Team Too Much or Team TikTok to Team strictly work related. So the very first company I worked for, whenever we would post or post something on Microsoft Teams, it was regarding, let's say, my computer is about to shut down. Sometimes that happens. Your computer, your Windows computer will let you know you can defer a shutdown, a restart. And you can defer it so many times to where it's going to be forced to restart you, let's say in an hour. So you have an hour to get ready to have a forced restart. So sometimes my coworkers will let us know as a group, hey, my computer's about to shut down. I'll be out for maybe about 5 minutes. I'll come back. Sometimes the coworkers will let us know that, hey, my power went out or my phone is down. You have a phone embedded in your computer. If you can't make and receive phone calls, that's a problem. So let's say you contact IT and you'll be on the phone with IT for about 20, 30 minutes. So the people would let people know, well, the coworkers would let people know that, hey, I'll be out, something's going on, and if you can't reach me, this is the reason. Another team I worked for, another company, they used Microsoft Teams like it was TikTok. It was in the morning around, well, I clock in at 7 a.m. It was 8 a.m. for other people. So at 7 a.m., someone would say good morning, and then 15, 20 people would say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It was very annoying. 8 a.m. come around, one person say good morning on Microsoft Teams. The same thing over and over again. And then also the ladies would maybe have a conversation with each other, but instead of having that Microsoft Team conversation between the two of them, it would be posted in the group Microsoft Teams. So everyone in the group, everyone on the team can see the Microsoft Teams conversation between two people. That was quite annoying. I didn't end up staying there very long. And then another company I worked for, this third one, it's not as bad as the first one. It's gotten a little bit better. At first, the coworkers would post YouTube videos on Microsoft Teams, which eventually they said, hey, you shouldn't be looking at YouTube on your work computer. But this team I'm working with now, they post a lot of memes. It's kind of annoying, but it's not as bad as the second company I work for. So the culture of whatever company you work for depends on Microsoft Teams. if that's what people use mostly, then that's what you'll see. So let's say, for example, whatever team you're on, they don't really communicate too much on Teams. They only communicate, when it's really necessary. That's a good culture because you're not on Microsoft Teams like it's TikTok. If you want to leave a toxic culture, the best way, well, there's actually three options. First, you can do a lateral transfer that is, let's say, from team to team or within utilization review, or let's say you go from utilization review to appeals, or you can be promoted to a leadership role, or you can leave the company. So I'm going to start with the first two. So let's say, for example, you work in Medicare. Now, your insurance company or whatever company you work for, let's say they have Medicare, Medicaid, and Marketplace insurance, and you are working for the Medicare Maryland team. And that team, of course, they're toxic because they're always posting different memes and YouTube videos and having all this strange and uh, irrelevant and kind of toxic communication back and forth between two people or three people. And it's there posted for the whole group to see and be a part of. So your option would be to, let's say, transfer to a different team that's also within Medicare. Or let's say you also decide you want to transfer to a different department. So let's say you're getting the same pay, but you go from utilization review to, let's say, appeals. So that's a way out. And then also a way out is to be promoted to a leadership role, or if you leave the company. So let's say, for example, you work for Marketplace Maryland, and the team in Marketplace Maryland, they're just a little too toxic for you, too much going on in Microsoft Teams. So some miracle happens and you're transferred to Marketplace Michigan. And that team is pretty laid back. They only use Teams when it's necessary. They're not posting all kind of strange information and having strange conversations and just very toxic conversations between each other. And you happen to like it better. So just know that whenever you are working at a company, every team has a different culture, and you. Besides utilization review, I did work in appeals for about 2 weeks, and a team of us were cross trained in utilization review to help the appeals department. And I also was trained, well, not really trained, but kind of pushed in there into the case management. And I'll start with appeals. So with appeals, they were really backlogged with all their authorizations. So we had maybe about an hour or 2 hour training. It was very quick, and they taught us about appeals and how to complete an appeals authorization. It was very similar to what utilization review does. The only difference was we had all the clinical information we needed. There's no need to request clinical or call for clinical or fax request for clinical because everything was there. That was pretty cool. I liked that. It was pretty easy. But then the case management, it was awful. I didn't get any training with that. For some reason, the member did not want to speak to her case manager. And some kind of way I became involved, and I would call the member, which in utilization review, you never, ever, ever call a member. You only call the hospital providers. That's someone in the hospital, either a nurse, some kind of care utilization review coordinator, but you never speak to the patient or patient family or member family ever in utilization review. So anyway, I was calling her and asking her questions, and I was kind of like a middleman liaison because I was asking the case manager, well, what should I ask her? What should I notate on the account? It was just it was very annoying, and it's a lot of phone calls. So if you do decide you want to do care management or case management, it is very phone intensive, and you'll be verbally done at the end of the day. The best insider tip to getting a remote job as a nurse is to go to the careers website, the careers page, and look for job alerts or job recommendations. That way, whenever a job is posted on the career website, you get an automatic email to your email address regarding the new job being posted. This way, you're saving time by not having to go on LinkedIn or Indeed and doom scroll for jobs and be a posting and applying that way. Also, whenever you are looking for certain companies you want to work for, I would suggest to reach out to a nurse who works in the same department you want to work in. So you want to work for, let's say, Humana as a utilization review nurse. Look for a nurse who works in utilization review, connect with her or him, And also see if you can ask them about the job. If you can also actually be able to use them as a referral, that may help you with getting the job. Also, send him or her your resume and see if he or she is willing to forward your resume to the hiring manager. It always helps just to have an extra backdoor way of getting a job besides just applying regularly like everyone else. If you know someone or can have someone on the inside refer you to that job, you may have a better chance of getting not only an interview but getting hired. Here is my Canva presentation on how I set up my screens at work every day. This first screen it shows you all three screens, left monitor, the center monitor is my laptop, and the right monitor is the other monitor. So we're going to start off with the left monitor. And on the left monitor, I had the platform up, InterQual MCG and Clinical. But just FYI, what you can do is Google what platforms does, let's say, Humana use for authorizations, and it may come back with an answer on the name of that platform. Now, unfortunately, most companies do not give you an option to learn that platform or whatever software they use prior to being employed there. The only companies that I know of that has certification in their platforms or software is InterQual and MCG. And whenever you actually get into the platform, there'll be a separate link you'll click on to get access to InterQual or MCG. And also on the left monitor, I also have the clinical on that screen as well. I'm going to go to the next screen. So this is an example of what InterQual looks like. And as you see here, this is the link to where I found this screenshot of the InterQual software. This is clinical. Now this, it didn't take up the whole page whenever I did a screenshot of it, but whenever you are in the training environment working using InterQual or MCG, the clinical they provide will be very simple and very small. But once you get into the live environment, the clinical may be 20 pages, it could be 120 pages. Sometimes some hospitals provide the insurance companies with access, read-only access to their electronic medical records. So I've had access to EMR such as Cerner and Epic. This next one is the middle screen, the laptop. And on my laptop, I have Microsoft Teams there, Microsoft Outlook, and the phone. Now, just a FYI, you'll have a phone, which is an embedded phone in your computer system, and it's called a voice over internet protocol. It could be a separate system or software, and some companies have the phone system embedded into Microsoft Teams. So you can make and receive phone calls using Microsoft Teams. Here's a look at what Microsoft Outlook looks like. The right monitor, I have just two things on here. I'll have my OneNote and sticky notes. Now this screenshot here, this is what sticky notes looks like on my Chromebook, but it looks different if you have a Windows computer. And this is my OneNote that I use for my content when I'm creating content for the jobs that are available. I have all the jobs that I've posted on YouTube here. And then there you have it. The left monitor, I have my platform there. I have the InterQual and MCG there and a clinical there. On the center monitor, I'll have the laptop, I have Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Outlook, and the phone. And then the right screen, I cannot move my face over, but I have Microsoft OneNote and sticky notes. And just a FYI, the OneNote is where I keep all of my templates to enter and to copy and paste into InterQual or into the platform that I'm working on.